Anime. Back in my younger years, I started the anime Attack on Titan. It's one of the many animes that I fell in love with and still love to this day. I enjoyed every minute, every hour, every second of this series, and I wouldn't want it any other way. Now, with that being said, there are some problems with the show's production, but it's not just Attack on Titan. There are tons of animes out there with wonderful stories, but terrible company decisions that make the animations look terrible. And today, I want to talk about anime adaptations and why I think some of, if not most of them, could do better than what they've done. Now, before I begin, I just want to preface a few things. I usually make a gacha game content, but that may change depending on how this video does. And for any returning viewers out there, you guys crushed it with the Magic Record video, and this is the result of that. And the 400 subs. This is your 400 subs special, so I hope you returning viewers enjoy. For any new viewers out there, please be sure to like the video, and subscribe for more gacha gaming or anime content. Now, long intro aside, let's talk about my issues with anime adaptations. I've watched a lot of anime throughout my life. If I were to go the easy route and make an estimate, I'd say I watched about 20 animes, most to completion. But since I like to make issues for my future self, here's every anime I've ever watched to completion. Sailor Moon, Black Clover, Bleach, My Hero Academia, Chainsawman, Codegeass, Darling in the Franxx, Elden Lied, Hellsing, Jojos, Jujutsu Kaisen, kaguya, Demon Slayer, Main in the Abyss, Madoka Magica, Naruto, One Piece, Persona 5, Rascal Does Not Dream of, Your Lie in April, Attack on Titan, and Soul Eater. How is that future me editing this video? Yeah, I agree. Anyways, these are all animes that I've watched or caught up on. If you want an additional video about all these animes I've watched, then be sure to support the video and comment down below some fun ideas for some videos related to anime. Now, all that aside, it's safe to say that anime is something that has stuck with me throughout a big chunk of my life. Now, with that being said, I think it would be fair if I finally list what issues I have with anime adaptations. The beginning part was just to get you guys familiar with my anime experience, so you know I'm not just some random fucking tourist talking out of my ass. Anyways, the way I will do this is by listing a problem and giving an anime as an example. So, first things first, let's talk about milking a show's hype. Milking in this context is exploit or defraud someone, typically by taking regular small amounts of money over a period of time. The someone in this context would refer to an anime that falls under these conditions, and obviously, we are talking about the money part of this. Lots of shows do this thing where they take advantage of a series by utilizing the hype that surrounds it by delaying the production of the show. Companies do this. People get excited for some anime to release, and as a result, companies tend to put something that can be done in probably a few months into the span of a few years. If you want other examples, think of shows like Stranger Things. If you want an anime example, let's think of Attack on Titan. Attack on Titan had a good consistency throughout its seasons. When I started watching, the show was close to airing the second season, and about a year later, the next season came out. It seemed to follow a yearly basis in terms of releasing content. But here's where issues arise. 2 years after Season 3, which was probably my favorite season in the series, the 4th season came out, under the production direction of MAPPA. Now, the 2-year gap isn't the problem, because Wit Studio was not animating the series anymore, so we had to find another company to do it. That is where MAPPA comes in. These people animated Chainsaw Man and Jujutsu Kaisen. But in 2020, they decided to take on the role of animating the final season, which of course went very miserably in my opinion. Now guys, don't get me wrong, I loved it. I really liked the animation and I loved the new use of CGI in the series. It really made the quality a lot stronger than before, but that's not what I had a problem with. The problem I had was the parts that Season 4 released in. The first part released in 2020, the next one 2022, and the final part was 2023. Now, I want you guys to keep in mind, the closer the series got to completion, the more Mappa stalled in the production of the series. And do you want to know how I got to that conclusion? Here's how the parts were structured. Part 1 had episodes. Part 2 had less episodes. Part 3, Part 1, this is getting ridiculous, isn't it? Was a movie-length episode, which was pretty cool. And Part 3, Part 2 was about the same length. Now, you see, the problem I had was with how they really stretched this out. For Jujutsu Kaisen, for example, I heard news about an episode every week until the said story arc was complete. That is how I feel it should be done. Now, maybe there's some crucial detail that I'm missing. If so, tell me in the comments below. But why would Mappa stay consistent with one anime and be inconsistent with another? It's just too ironic. Now, Mappa is a multi-million-dollar company. Surely they have multiple teams producing things, right? Okay, so I got a bit loud there, and I promise you I'm gonna get even louder later on. But anyways, it's not a field that I'm best in, so I'm giving you guys my opinion based on what I've experienced while waiting for this anime to finish. But that's not the only issue we're covering. The biggest issue, which was the main reason why I made this video, was this problem that I've encountered lately. Anime adaptations being unfaithful to the manga. Now, before I list my biggest example here, in terms of like an anime as an example, I'm going to list some smaller ones. Blue Lock is one anime that's talked about a lot. From what I've seen at least, when you think of Blue Lock, you mainly hear about how awful the animation is, or how something's going to be animated soon, like hype and whatnot. I've noticed that they've stepped up their game a ton, which is great for fans, because as loyal as they seem to be, they deserve some respect through good animation. Another anime I would like to talk about is Uzumaki, that horror anime that released on Adult Swim. They had a super strong start with their first episode. Fans and spectators alike were very impressed to see that the first episode had such a strong start. But problems arise when they went to release more episodes. People noticed that the quality was so obviously more dog shit than the previous episodes. The fans were not happy with this and complained online for like a few days. Now comes my biggest example. During my free time, I encountered one of my most favorite series of all time, Kaguya-sama Love is War, one of the animes I listed in the beginning. I absolutely loved this series. I reread it because I couldn't get it out of my head. It was so good. I loved reading every moment of that book from the moment I picked up the first volume, and my love for the series got progressively stronger the closer I got to finishing it. If I had to recall the most recent events, I probably could, honestly. Now, there wasn't a single moment where I didn't want to read the series, and because of this excitement, I was so excited to watch the anime after this that I did my absolute hardest to avoid all spoilers, and I did. I went through this series without a single spoiler of the ending. I loved its ending, and I couldn't wait to experience it again. Okay, now, once I got to the anime, it was good at first. I laughed a few times with how they animated the comedic aspects of the series, but as I continued, my hype for watching it started to feel more and more wasted. Now, the examples of why I felt this will include spoilers in the series, so if you want to read or watch this too, although I would highly suggest reading the series first, I suggest skipping to this point in the video. But without further ado, let me list my problems. First off, this series skipped a lot of important chapters. Now, how I came to notice this is because I had majority of the storyline engraved into my mind at the time. But what exactly do I mean by they skipped some chapters? Well, let me explain. The example I'll be using is the Culture Festival arc. For those who don't know, The main plot so far is that these two are trying to get the other to confess their love for one another, with any proof or method necessary to prove that one has romantic feelings for the other. That's the main plot. Now, there was a moment in the manga where the two main characters, Kaguya and Shirogane, were alone in the student council chamber. During this time, Kaguya tries on a number of outfits since she'll be working at a cosplay cafe during the culture festival. Kaguya tries to tease Shirogane in hopes that he confesses his love for her, but there's something very different in this here chapter. You see, before this chapter, we are given a crucial turning point in the story. Shirogane was accepted into Stanford, and decides to have a talk with himself, and therefore developed a feeling that he does not care if he confesses first, because if he doesn't confess now, or if she doesn't confess now, none of them will have the chance to while he's away. We see that feeling show in this particular chapter, because while Kaguya is trying to play with his emotions, his instinct as a man to be turned on by maid outfits and Christmas outfits, and get him to confess his love, Shirogane is going the full honesty route about how he feels, telling her she looks good, complimenting her, not hiding a single ounce of his feelings. Now, why is this chapter important? Well, if you looked at the chapter objectively, you would think that this is just a fan service chapter in disguise, with the things I mentioned previously. You would think, oh, Aka Akasaka just wants to give a fan service chapter to the fans. No. This actually leads into the Culture Festival, because now we expect Shirogane to have no fear or anything, that was a bad voice crack, no fear or anything about his feelings towards Kaguya. But here's where the issue comes in. The animators not only skipped the major big important chapter I just mentioned, they skipped the fucking chapter before where he gains his determination in the first place. Now, with how this story was written in the anime, if you were to at least show that chapter where he gets accepted into Stanford, where he gains this resolve to finally just be honest with himself about how he feels, it would have made things make more sense. But here's the thing. How this becomes a problem is during the big moment of the festival arc that comes later. One episode, they're playing their usual games to get one to confess first. But, all of a sudden, when the two are finally able to be hanging out alone with all the busy scheduling and whatnot, Shirogane, when pressed, barely gets bashful like other episodes. He goes with the honesty route like I previously mentioned. Now, since I was fortunate to have read the manga first, I figured out almost immediately why his behavior was like this all of a sudden. But for a non-manga reader, they could get confused as to why he was acting like this. They'll just assume that something changed within him randomly. They won't know why. He just did it from their perspective. Like, he just randomly changed. They never got that extra perspective, and I don't think they ever will. Now, although I found this issue to be terrible for the story, I let it slide, because I didn't notice any more skipping or anything of the sort. But the next issue I have is their adaptation of the most recently adapted chapters. You see, both gain a good deal in this arc. By the end of the arc, they're boyfriend and girlfriend. Now, that's sweet. But the issue I now have is with their interpretation of this arc. This right here is the beginning of the Christmas arc. From a manga standpoint, it's close to the end of this little saga that we're having here. But everyone's flashbacks come right afterwards, so it's not over yet. During this arc, lots of confessions were made. Lots of moves were made. Someone fell down the stairs and broke their fucking arm. Now, during this arc, lots of important turning points in the story occur. So let me get to my issue so you understand why this particular issue is bad. You see, at the end, they kiss. How sweet. Then, we come back to Shuchen Academy to see everyone after the break, to get an idea of the types of critical plot progressions that happen during the arc. But that's not the case here for the anime. First they kiss, and then the worst move I've ever seen an anime do was done. What they did instead of actually showing what happened was that they flashed bits of everyone else's point of view during this arc, and did not elaborate on what these bits were about. This part was the last few minutes of the most recently animated episode, And by the way, an adaptation has been made for a single chapter for 3 years! Now, with that being said, I would absolutely understand the argument of, oh, they're still animating the series, just give them time. If there was actually fucking news of the anime's production. Now, as we said before, the most recent adaptation aired in 2022. And as for news, not even a single trailer or teaser like I said. Now, I really hope that this is just taking a long time to produce. If so, give me any legitimate news you guys found in the comments below, but holy shit, dude, I have never been more disappointed with an animation in my life. It starts so strong, and ended extremely weak. I would understand if they used, like, those bits and pieces as, like, a trailer in the anime, but they flashed bits and pieces of everyone's winter break, then they kept chopping up parts of the arc and mixing them up, and by the looks of it, it was for no fucking reason at all! Now, the way things were done was just so weird, but I am reading Oshinoko right now, made by the same creator. And I swear to fucking God, if they do the same thing, I might cry. Now we've reached the end of the video. For the record, I still love most of these shows. I even plan on rewatching shows like Darling in the Franxx, since it's been so long since I've watched it. But I just wanted to address some of the issues that someone who loves anime frequently has with these animes. It's really frustrating to see great stories like Kaguya-sama be treated terribly because of bad animation moves. But yeah, I just want to talk to you all about my frustration with anime adaptations. This was my second time making a video about actual anime. I had a blast making this video, and I hope you had a blast watching it. Like I said before, I mainly do gacha game content, but that may change. So be sure to watch on when I make videos like that if you're interested. But yeah, that's about it for today's video. If you enjoyed, please be sure to like the video and subscribe for more anime content. We're trying to reach 500 subscribers, so subscribe to make that possible. Comment down below what you want to see next, and check out my community tab and Discord for updates on upcoming videos. Be sure to also check out my Twitter. I am shitpost, reply for creators, and some dumbasses, so check that out as well. And with that, I will see you guys in the next video. Bye-bye!